Hi everybody, Tim Hughes here. I'm the co-founder and CEO of DLA Ignite. With me today I have Joanne Hession. Hession. So rhymes with session.
That's it, it does.
Yes, sorry. And we're going to talk about leadership and we're going to talk about Lift, which is a fantastic initiative that you have in Ireland, which when I found out about it, I thought, someone told me about it and I thought I've got to get Joanne and I've got to get on and get her to talk about this because it's just a really amazing initiative. Before we go anywhere, where can people get hold of you?
Yeah, so a number of places. So our website is liftireland.ie, L-I-F-T, liftireland.ie, and you'll get us there. And I'm also on LinkedIn. So Joanne Hession, rhyming with session.
Recession.
Yeah, Joanne Hession on LinkedIn. You'll find me there too. Thanks, okay. Tim. Thanks for having us on, Tim.
Thank you. And the web details will be in the notes on YouTube when I put those up.
Super.
Before we get into Lift, I think it's worthwhile us going into your background. Because you've been on a journey, which is how you kind of got to the point where you thought of this initiative called Lift.
Yeah, sure. So I've been on a bit of a windy road that I think most of us go on. I love business, and I've always loved business. And I studied business after school, and I did my master's in business. So I was really interested in it. And then I started to work, and I was working for big corporates, and I think I got a little bit disillusioned with business because I thought, golly, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be like, but also I just felt it was missing. For me, it was missing a kind of a purpose behind it. It was missing a bit of a soul, maybe, in some cases. And so I wondered then if the charity world was what suited me better. So I applied to work for one of the international Irish aid agencies. And it was interesting. I mean, even in my research of them, I did a little bit of research on each one, and I chose Concern Worldwide, which is a fantastic Irish aid agency. And there are many that are very good, obviously, and like your own in the UK and elsewhere. But I got sent to the Rwandan border of Tanzania after the Rwandan genocide in the mid-90s. And I worked in the refugee camps there. And that experience was full of learning, is one way to put it.
I was going to say, I guess we could do a whole conversation on what you learned there. I've been to Uganda, but I've not been to Rwanda. Yeah, and a beautiful country. I was on the Tanzanian border, but really terrible things, of course, had happened with the genocide and with the civil war there. And we were doing everything that we could to get people set up in shelter once they came across the border. And Concern were also responsible for helping primary school education get set up. So I think that's where I fell in love with the power of education. I mean, the refugee camps themselves and the lack of hope and really quite dire some of the circumstances there. When you met the students and looked at what education could do, I got a renewed and a totally new appreciation for the power of education, in that not only can it help you get out of the situation that you're in, but also nobody can ever steal it from you, and nobody can ever take it from you. Once it's in your head, it's yours. It's a life skill.
So, yeah, it was really, really good for me. So I came back to Ireland when I was 27, and I mean, the business bug still was with me. I missed certain elements of business for sure, and so about a year and a half later, I set up my own business in the whole area of education. And that's over 20 years ago now. So I set up two businesses, one that internationally trades and works with business schools and universities around the world. It's called QED Accreditation Experts. It's a very niche consulting business. And then the other business I set up was the Entrepreneurs Academy. So we train people to get started in business and to stay in business, which is great. And I've been doing that for over 20 years. But a few years ago, I decided to step aside from there and to start Lift Ireland, which is how we came across each other. It's a national initiative to drive up the level of leadership in the whole country, and that's what we're doing.
So I mean, before we talk about that, what's your definition of leadership? Because I think let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, I think maybe to get us on the same page of what leadership is, it's a little bit easier to say what leadership is not. And the first thing that leadership is not is leadership and management are very different things.
Yes.
Management is about getting somebody to do the right thing at the right time in the right way and making sure that it's the right person doing that. So management is about systems and structures and processes and so on. Leadership is something very different. And if I'm a really great manager, it's easy to see if I'm a good leader by asking me to create positive change. Because if I go to create change, but nobody's actually following me, then I'm really not leading. I might be managing well, but nobody's really following me. And if I've no followers, I'm not a leader.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is that leadership isn't a position. Sometimes we tend to think of leadership as a title, as a position. We talk about leadership teams, we talk about leadership positions, but in reality, if I'm given the title as CEO or team lead or whatever my title is, that only buys me a little bit of time with my people. And it does buy me a little bit of time. But if I make poor decision after poor decision, if I, lack respect, if I lack integrity, if I lack empathy or any of these other great leadership characteristics, then trust in me will diminish, and eventually nobody wants to follow me. So again, I'm not a leader. The position does not make me a leader. So there's a lot of myths around leadership, and I think in essence, Tim, what it is that leadership is influence. It's about positive influence. And if I'm influencing you with what I'm saying, then I'm leading you. So sometimes I'm leading you a lot, and sometimes I'm leading you a little. And sometimes you're leading me, and sometimes I'm leading you. So there's a very much an ebb and a flow with leadership. But we fundamentally believe that every single person is a leader, because we all have people around us that at one time or another are paying attention to us. And sometimes we're leading them well, and sometimes we're leading them not so well, but we are all leaders.
Yeah, I think there's two important things. One is the difference between leadership and management. I was on the board of a US software company, even though it was in the UK, and we always had this debate because everyone kept saying, "Oh, what we need to do is be working how many meetings has our salespeople had?" And we've said this isn't what the leadership team does. That's what a manager may do that, but the leadership team is to set the direction, and it's very, very, it's fundamentally different.
Yeah.
And I agree with you that at the time, even though I was on the board, I didn't have any people working for me. I was an individual contributor, but I still had to get people to do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very, and you sometimes you go up in the morning, I wish I had some authority. I could just tell people to do it stuff. Just get on with it. And of course, actually, you can't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. So whether we're leaders or whether we're individual contributors, we have to herd cats because that's part of what we do, and we have to learn how to influence people without telling them what to do.
That's it. And some of the best leaders around, the people that we really want to follow, they don't hold leadership positions at all. And some of the people holding leadership positions, and I'm not going to criticize any leader, but some people holding leadership positions aren't really showing leadership behavior either, good leadership behavior. So, it's a term that's often misunderstood, I think. So, thanks for asking me to explain it.
That's okay. So tell me about Lift.
So Lift is a national initiative to raise the level of leadership in the whole country. So we're of Ireland. Yeah. So we are the whole island. So anybody on the island that would like to be involved is welcome to get involved. We're on a 10-year journey to get 10% of the population actually building their leadership. And we have a process to show people how to build their leadership. So we're run like a business, except for that we're not for profit, and corporations pay to be part of Lift, and then we give it for free. It's part of our Robin Hood model. We give it for free to anybody that can't afford it, and then anybody that can afford it, they give us a financial contribution, and that way everybody can be included. So it is the most inclusive countrywide initiative that certainly I have ever seen, and it's wonderful that we can invite everybody to be involved, whether you're a parent at a kitchen table, or whether you're a teacher in a classroom, or whether you're in a clubhouse or a boardroom. Everybody is welcome to take part.
And I love the way that you basically got a whole bunch of CEOs together in a hotel to launch this. I mean, you must have been, I respect you so much for that, because before you did that, you must have been, let's put it politely, feeling pretty vulnerable.
Yeah, I think I lost a few years off my life that day. Well, I remember the date well. It was the 20th of October. So we're nearing the anniversary of it. And so, a couple of key people that I had approached and said, look, I'm going to put my hand up and say I could lead better in my sphere of influence. And I'm going to invite other people to do the same. And so we brought 30 CEOs into a hotel in Dublin, and we said, we're good in Ireland, but we're also very fortunate in Ireland, and we need to acknowledge that we are fortunate here compared to, say, Afghanistan or somewhere else that we could have ended up. And so it was really about, putting my hand up and saying, I know I could be better. So I'm good with a small G, but could be good with a big G. So, it's not just about being nice or anything like that. This is about admitting that if I change my behavior, I had to have a positive influence on my sphere of influence. And that could have a really significant ripple effect. So if a whole load of CEOs came together and did that, and then a whole load of our teams and our organizations and our communities also did that, the potential ripple effect is actually huge.
Yes. So explain, what is it? The detail of what you're doing. Go into a little bit more detail for me in terms of what you're doing across the whole of Ireland with Lift.
Yeah, so we've got over 100 partner organizations now that are living Lift. We've also got just about 100 schools that are also living Lift. And when an organization or a school becomes a partner of Lift, we train a number of their people to be what we call Lift facilitators or Lift hosts. And that basically means that we show the Lift hosts and those Lift facilitators a really simple, reflective self-improvement process. And each week they look at a different area of leadership, and they take a group through a different area of leadership each week. It takes about 40 minutes a week for a small group to do it. And they stop and reflect and go, hang on, how good am I at respect? Respect is a key area of being a good leader. How good am I at this? And how could I get a little bit better? And the idea is that you build your mental muscle around the areas of leadership. And I stop and I think, am I selectively respectful? Am I respectful of the people that I really like and that I can relate to? And do I have respect for and with the people that I don't agree with? Which I should do, because just because I don't agree with them or just because I don't like what they're saying doesn't mean that person doesn't have value. They do have value. And respect is always about recognizing that other person has value. So what we do, Tim, is we train people within organizations in a very simple process that they can take into their schools or their organizations or their not-for-profits or wherever they are, their sports club and so on. And we give it to them. And that way they can examine their own leadership and examine how good are we at these different areas of leadership and how do we get better. Now, you might say, well, how did you choose the different areas of leadership? What's important to you? And what we did was we did independent research, and we asked the people of Ireland, if we're to become better leaders in the country, leaders at our kitchen tables and all the way to our boardrooms, to our classrooms and our clubhouses. If we're to get better, how do we, what are the areas that we need to improve? And initially 8 and now 10 areas we have that are the real key characteristics for us that make a great leader. And they include things like respect, as I've mentioned, but also listening, positive attitude, determination and grit, resilience, innovation and adaptability, integrity and honesty, empathy, And, you know, so really important areas. These are the areas that the people in this country said we need to get a little bit better at these. They're kind of universal, but it was important that we asked people rather than imposed on them, look, here's where I think we need to get better at leadership.
And I think that's really, really key, because I was interested how you do it, because you could sit in an ivory tower and say, this is what leadership is, and then hand it out to everybody.
Yeah.
And that actually isn't leadership, is it?
No, it's not. It's really fascinating, you know, because if you take some of those areas, let's say respect, you know, neither you or me, neither of us would ever intentionally disrespect someone. No. You know, like we don't intend ever to do it. And yet I know for myself, I do it. Sometimes I do it. I go on my mobile phone when I'm in the middle of talking to somebody, or, you know, something like that. And that's disrespecting them. So, or I may not listen properly, and that can cause disrespect, or I might cut across, especially if I get stressed or under pressure. That's when these behaviors are so important. So what we do is we help me and other people to strengthen that character muscle so that we can build better leaders.
And in effect, what you're doing is cascading that information through Ireland. Yes,
we are. Our youngest lift facilitator is only 14 years old.
Wow.
And our oldest is 82. So we're not in all corners of the country yet. We're in a lot of the corners. We're not in all of them yet, but we're only just past our year 2 mark. We've got a long way to go yet. And once everybody knows that everybody is totally welcome, and we want as many people involved as we possibly can get.
And well, you've got 10 years, so but you've had 2 years so far, so it goes quickly.
I know. I've already, just with the team this morning, we were talking about the end of year 3, and because we were just talking about October and what we're going to achieve in October, and making sure that it's in line with what we want to achieve in year 3. And 3 years out of 10, all of a sudden, I'm sort of going, we're nearly at halfway.
Yeah.
It goes very quickly, very, very quickly.
And this is really to make sure that you're spreading leadership across the whole of Ireland on the basis at some point everybody will, so you get to some tipping point.
Yeah, exactly. So I suppose we're spreading and we're equipping people so that they know, one, what really good leadership is, so that everybody knows that it's not about fast car, big money and ego, you know, that it's good leadership is about who you are on the inside. It's about people wanting to follow you because it's about being a good human. That's what it's about. So we're equipping and empowering people to think about what good leadership is, and especially so that our young people, but also our not so young people, want to be leaders, you know, in their lives and in their communities. So we're doing that, and yes, and really the aim is that we get a tipping point of people, which I think we will do before we hit the 10%.
So your idea is to get it, you're going to have a tipping point before that 10% and the 10 years.
I think we probably will. I mean, we're in a small country here. And so I think we probably will. One of the universities has just agreed to start doing some longitudinal research on lift to show its impact. So we'll know more when we start doing more work with them. It's really important that we get it, you know, independence in how we're being looked at and how we're being evaluated. I mean, I've given up my job and I've stepped out of my business to do this and to push this forward. So I certainly want to make sure that we get real behavior change and we get impact. And if we're not getting that, I need to look at doing it differently somehow.
So you've already done some research, because I know that there's some research on your website, but obviously at the moment it's difficult to get the you know, you doing your own research telling you how great you are, but you know, what impact do you see at the moment?
Yeah, so we look at impact in 3 different areas. So it's the impact on the individual, the impact on an organization, and then societal impact. And when we hit the year 2 mark, we did an impact report, which is what you're referring to there. And you're absolutely right. You know, we set the exam paper ourselves and then we marked it ourselves. So, but we were, you know, in our first 2 years, it was just really important that we did it, and it wouldn't have made sense for an external organization to do it because we were too young, and we hadn't done enough. So now it's really important that an external organization looks at us and sees what we're doing, and make sure that there's integrity in everything that we're doing, even though we say we are, and that's what we're all about, but it's still always very important. But particularly around the individual, we're looking to see if people's understanding of what good leadership is changing and improving, and it is. Over 90% of people are saying that their understanding of what good leadership is different to when they started off. And then more importantly than that, over 80%, 83 or 87% are giving those examples of where their behavior is changing.
Right.
So that's really important. And whether it's that I put my mobile phone away when I'm chatting to my teenagers, or chatting with you, Tim, and I'm not doing it on the side as I'm talking to you as well. That would be one behavior change. Or another one might be that, and I get examples of these all the time, where somebody said to me, before I go into meetings, I have my lift materials. I read them before I go in, just to remind me what respect is, what trust is, what positive attitude is, what all these things are that are so important, and to keep me behaving well. So it might be that, or indeed somebody else who said to me that they asked for a meeting with the CEO in a big manufacturing company and said, we need to have a chat about this, because they've done a lot of hires, and what she was saying was, we've allowed the value of disrespect suddenly creep in to our organization. Yeah. And nobody wants that, but sometimes that happens. So these are all important behavior change areas. And, Tim, for any organizations out there, culture is the thing that most CEOs, when I talk to them, want to improve. Whether they already have a good one, they really want to make it better. It is the one thing. It's how we're behaving, how we're acting. It impacts our engagement figures. It impacts how stressed people are at work. It's so important. It's really so important. And now with COVID, we have online cultures that we need to mind and make sure that behavior online is the way that it should be, and we're leading ourselves well in a way that is lifting up other people. So that's all really important stuff. So in terms of measuring the impact on individuals, that's what we have been doing. We have been surveying people at the end and finding out how behavior change is happening. We also do individual focus groups and interviews and all those kind of things. And at an organizational level, our partners tend to measure that themselves, because they want to know how are things changing in their organizations. And one organization that just put 30% of their people through Lift, over 50%, over 90% of them said that Lift was really valuable for them. With over 50% citing it as extremely valuable. So that's a big number of people to go through a program to find really good value out of it.
So, I just think it's a fantastic initiative. And
thank you.
So I'm going to ask you a question. So say somebody in a country watches this and thinks Croatia, they want to do it in Croatia. Do they contact you?
Sure. There are two things with this. So my interest is in creating positive change in Ireland and by Ireland.
Yes.
But it's in Ireland and by Ireland, and that's a really important piece, because it is the island, whatever way you want to call the island. Everybody is welcome if they want to be. But the piece of creating positive change in Ireland and by Ireland, we do have a number of people that have contacted us from different countries who are Irish diaspora or linked to the country in some way, and have said, can we bring this to the Middle East, or can we bring this to Scotland, and can we bring this to Australia, and so on. So we're working with them, and what happens is that I work with them closely so that it stays part of Lift Ireland, and we make sure to keep the integrity of what it is that we're doing. And so if there are people that are linked with Ireland that would like to be part of what we're doing, they can just get in touch with me.
Right. Because I mean, you know, it would be very easy to move that into other English speaking countries. Or if you, I'm just picking Croatia out of the air, you know, that's a small country, and do something similar. And it must be, I mean, great initiative. Why create your own?
And in fact, our Department of Foreign Affairs in the UK, so they are going to do lift in the Irish Embassy in the UK. Now they're a bit tied up at the moment with Brexit, but we were due to start in September, and we've just
sorry about that.
We've just pushed it off a little bit until workloads lessen a little bit, and hopefully all that will work out well. But so the Irish Embassy in the UK is going to live lift. They're going to live lift, and the Department of Foreign Affairs are using that as a pilot. And if that goes well, then they will extend it to Irish embassies throughout the world. So that's what they're looking to do. So that will be and it would be a great thing for Ireland to be doing.
Leadership once again.
Yes. Yeah, and grassroots leadership.
Yeah. It is because I remember the person that recommended me to talk to you is one of your facilitators.
Great.
And it's a grassroots.
Yeah.
This is coming from the people rather than the Taoiseach. For those that don't know, is the Prime Minister in Irish. From the Prime Minister downwards, it's not like a government thing. You must do this. It's a grassroots thing, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, and in fact, one of our aid agencies' goal, somebody that I had met in Concern, that met again just about a year ago, is now running one of the other Irish aid agencies, and they have taken all of their employees in Ireland through Lift, and now they're doing Irish aid work in 23 countries. So we're looking and seeing how can we have positive influence in those 23 countries through Lift with them. So them doing it really. So that will involve a lot of translation into different languages and so on. Yeah.
Joanne, 25 minutes, 26 minutes. Just wanted to thank you for coming on and spending the time today and talking about it. I'm going to repeat myself again and say, I just think it's a fantastic initiative. And well done to you for basically stepping up and doing it and putting your life on it, really. So it's just amazing.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for your interest. Really appreciate it. And for inviting me on today. Thank you.
Yeah, and remind people where they can get hold of you.
Yeah, so you can get me on LinkedIn, Hession on LinkedIn, or liftireland.ie, LIFT Ireland.ie, or my email is joanne@liftireland.ie. I would love to hear from anybody that's interested.
Yeah, I'm just gonna so just for people who can't spell like me, Ireland is spelled IRELAND, and it's .e, and as you say, it's lift LIFT Ireland.ie, and you are Joanne and Hession, as in HESSION.
That's it. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for today, Joanne, and hopefully see you soon.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks, Tim. Mind yourself.
Thanks. Bye.